We often hear that movies are a mirror to the society. Sometimes they reflect current issues, help shape perception, help in educating and spreading awareness, while at times also influence behaviors. One such movie with a powerful plot, inspired by one of the biggest landmark judgments of the Supreme Court in India's history. It's a legal drama inspired by the 1985 Shah Bano case, a woman's fight for her haq, or her right. Yes, we are talking about the movie Haq, produced by Jungli Pictures, which is set to release on the 7th of November, which has once again sparked a debate on women's right, religion and law. So let's open this up. Let's take those burning questions across to our guests. We're joined by Amber Zaidi, activist. We have Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, Islamic scholar. We're also joined by Advaita Kala, an author. On the panel, we have Dr. Mumtaz Alam Rizvi, political analyst, Asif Ansari, also a political analyst, and Syed Asad Abbas, political analyst as well. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Thank you for joining here on this special debate. I want to begin with Dr. Mumtaz Alam Rizvi. मैं सबसे पहले आपके विचार जानना चाहूंगी, क्योंकि एक बार फिर से वो डिबेट शुरू हो गई है इस मूवी के आधार पर मुस्लिम महिलाओं के अधिकार की. क्या कानून ऐसा होना चाहिए जो सब पर एक समान लागू हो?
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका. मेरे ख्याल से हिंदुस्तान में ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है कि जिससे ये लगे कि एक कानून के तहत कार्रवाई नहीं होती. हम अदालतों में देख रहे हैं, हम हर जगह जा रहे हैं. हर जगह ख़वातीन जो हैं वो अपने हुकूक के लिए बाकायदा मुकदमे भी लड़ रही हैं, अदालतें भी जा रही हैं और उन्हें वहाँ से इंसाफ भी मिल रहा है. ये सिर्फ एक प्रोपगंडा है. और ख़ास तौर से जब यूसीसी की बात आती है तो ये मुसलमानों पे थोप दिया जाता है. साहब मुसलमान इसकी मुखालफत कर रहा है, जबकि बार बार हम कह रहे हैं कि भाई आप अगर लाना है तो आप उत्तराखंड, कभी आसाम, कहीं स्टेट वाइज क्यों आप करते हैं? आप जो सेंट्रल में आपकी 11 साल की सरकार हो गई है, आप वहाँ एक मसौदा लाइए, वहाँ एक बहस कराइए. चूंकि जब आप कहते हैं कि चूंकि संविधान में आर्टिकल 44 में ये है कि आप को करना है या आप करेंगे, इस तरीके से यहाँ लिखा हुआ है. ये देखिए कि अंडर आर्टिकल 44 ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन द डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी प्रोवाइड that the state shall endeavor to secure for the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the country. तो ये जो है, तो सवाल ये है कि जब थ्रू आउट द कंट्री आप स्टेट वाइज कर रहे हैं और मुसलमानों करें, हमें यहाँ पे
जेंडर एक तो जेंडर दूसरा धर्म. डॉक्टर रिजवी, एक तो जेंडर दूसरा धर्म, इन चश्मों से देखने की जरूरत ही क्या है? किसने ये कह दिया कि जो मुस्लिम्स हैं इस देश के वो नहीं चाहते हैं कि यूसीसी आए? ये जनरलाइजेशन जो हो जाता है, इसकी क्या जरूरत? ये क्या मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं फैलाता है? एक इशू जिस पर डिबेट हो सकती है, बहस हो सकती है, उसमें क्या पॉइंट्स फेवर में जाएंगे, क्या अगेंस्ट जाएंगे, उस लिहाज से देखा जाना चाहिए. धर्म को क्यों बीच में लाएं?
नहीं, मैं देखिए ऐसा है कि चूंकि फोकस किया जाता है, जब उत्तराखंड में भी आया तो आप देखिए कि मुस्लिम फोकस उसको बनाया गया, सिर्फ इसलिए कि पोलराइजेशन की राजनीति की जाए. उसमें से आप देखिए जो हमारे जो क्या कहते हैं अति दलित ने वो जो हमारे मैं जहन में नहीं आ रहा है.
ठीक है डॉक्टर रिजवी, इस तरह के पोलराइजेशन की पॉलिटिक्स तब होती है जब ऐसे रिएक्शंस आते हैं. पोलराइजेशन की पॉलिटिक्स तब होती है जब ऐसे रिएक्शंस आते हैं कि भाई ऐसा कानून ला करके आप केवल एक समुदाय के खिलाफ इसको लाना चाहते हैं. When such reactions come to fore, that's when politics happens around it. I want to bring in Advaita Kala as well into the debate now. Advaita Kala, we're looking at a movie that raises some significant questions that once again reignite debates about uniform civil code, about a law in the country जो सबको एक नजर से देखे, that means justice for all and ensures equality and freedom of right for everyone.
I'm presently in Uttarakhand. I live in between Uttarakhand and the National Capital Region. Right now I'm in Uttarakhand. And UCC has been levied here. And there is really no issue. I mean, nothing has changed. It's business as usual. We have a lot of Muslims, especially in Dehradun, where I am at. And there has been no issue. There has been no communal flare-up, nothing of that sort. It's been quite a smooth transition. So I would actually encourage this to be taken up at the national level. I think it's something that will be helpful to everybody and just increase the sense of equality that all citizens should feel in front of the law, and guarantee the protections that certain special groups should get in the eyes of the law, which are denied to them through the through the operation of personal laws. So that's one part of it. The second part is being a scriptwriter, especially somebody who writes female-centric stories like Kahani, my film, which was again a female-centric story. I feel very strongly that stories that are driven by women and real lived experiences are extremely important. I am tired of these kind of glamorous, cut out kind of female characters who are there for a song and a dance and to look good, and the story moves on just fine without them. And most of our movies, I would say 80% of our movies are like that. If you remove the female character, the story isn't impacted at all. So I'm very excited about HAQ because I feel like this is a character-driven movie. It is a movie driven by a female character. The story revolves around her, and most importantly, she's not portrayed as a bechari, which is what usually end up doing with female characters who find themselves in difficult situations. Here, from whatever I've seen of the trailer, is somebody who's going to take up that fight, and that really, as an Indian woman, irrespective of my faith, I feel very powerful and very happy about.
Absolutely, and it's not just the real life, in real life as well. Talk about these instances. Said Asad Abbas, I want you to react on this. In the case of triple talaq, or whether it was the Shah Bano case, women went to the court to demand their right. Wo khod gayi adalat. But unfortunately, a spin, a caste angle or a religion angle is always injected, of course, for political gains.
Swati ji, I'm very glad that all of us, the panelists here, are debating this on your show. This is, I'd say, need of the hour. The fact of the matter is, Swati ji, I've always believed with great power there's great responsibility and equal accountability. We speak of triple talaq. Let me give you certain facts. We have Zinat Shaukat Ali ji on the panel, who I have great respect for. She'll agree with me. Triple talaq never existed in the foray of Islam, neither Quran, neither Hadith. It was an Arabic culture and tradition which got followed in the Indian subcontinent. I'm glad it's gone and it had to go. My apprehension was of the bill was that it was a flawed bill. You will jail the man and still the divorce is null and void. But nevertheless, we'll come to the politics part later. In the case of Shah Bano, undoubtedly there was an error made. Undoubtedly there was an error of judgment which did come through.
Was it an error? Was it intentional? That's another debate altogether. Was it an error? Was it intentional?
Absolutely.
Because courts did not do injustice to Shah Bano.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are no two ways about it. We need to, it is only the game spoils when the politics is played. But I'm glad that Shah Bano case has set a benchmark, not just for the Muslim women in India, but it has empowered the women of India for the belief in the judiciary system.
Yes, but the leaders failed.
Swati,
but the leaders of the political parties failed Shah Bano. Let's not forget that. The ugly reality, the ugly truth and reality is how the system failed her.
But Swati ji, let me quickly point out the same Bharatiya Janata Party which speaks so much about Shah Bano. What did they do with Bilkis Bano? They released the rapists, the convicted killers of the family of Bilkis Bano. It was the same Ministry of Home Affairs which did that. And I'm glad that all of us in the media, all the panelists here, vouched for Bilkis Bano and justice, and the same men were back behind lockdown. The fact is, the BJP needs to know, katni or karni mein bahut antar hai.
All right. So let me bring in Dr. So then for facts and for data and for the truth on ground, let me bring in Dr. Zinat Shaukat Ali. How many Muslim men are being harassed in the name of triple talaq? One should answer those questions. Also, I want to understand from you, why is it that we forget that the women that we are talking about also belong to the same community, follow the same religion?
You see, it is extremely unfortunate. I have very few words to say that, though the rights that Islam has given, very, very briefly, I will tell you, There is complete social justice, and I have no time to quote the verses, but I have a whole paper written on that. Evaluated position between men and women are the same. They are created from pairs. It's not one above the other, but it is a single minha, the word that is used. The spiritual life is equally regarded by participants as equal. Men who do good will go to heaven, and women who do good. So, and the temporal social economic position has been the same. You have Queen Bilqis in the Quran who has ruled over men because she was an intelligent. So it is not your sex or your gender, but it is your ability and your intelligence and your knowledge that reaches you there. Also, you see, revelation has not been exclusive to men. There has been Mary who has received the revelation from God, and there has been the mother of Moses, who was asked to quote her child, and God spoke directly to her. So here you see what happened is that basically, because of the lack of a deeper understanding of what religion really stands for, and using superficially and patriarchally. And it is extremely unfortunate that ironically in secular India, the clergy continues to cling to patriarchal notions of gender relations, which are absolutely, shall we say, alien to Islam. And they have been brought in and somehow or the other ruled over us. We had 75 years to fight over these laws, and now we have come to wake up to say that Muslim women have the right to divorce, which your courts are giving, and which are based on the Quran. So here, to me, the entire, the opposition of ideas that has come has nothing to do with, religion proper or to the rights that God has given, but to the right that the patriarchy has taken away. And yes, I support this view that women have learned to speak for themselves, to stand for themselves, to express themselves as they wish, and that I think is a salute to this great country, where we have the voice to do so, where we have the ability to do so, and with the right knowledge, we have to put things in line.
Absolutely. So you agree that religion is an angle that is injected for political gains. I want to bring in Asif Ansari as well. Asif Ansari, ये आर्ग्यूमेंट हमने कई बार सुना है कि जो इंस्टेंट ट्रिपल तलाक है ये रिलीजन का, इस्लाम धर्म का हिस्सा नहीं है, लेकिन प्रैक्टिस हो रहा था। इतने वक्त तक किसी ने सुध नहीं ली उन महिलाओं की, किसी ने इसको रोकने की कोशिश नहीं की। जब लीगल तरीके से इसको रोका गया तो कहा कि देखिए ये एक कम्युनिटी के खिलाफ है, ये एक धर्म विशेष लोगों के खिलाफ है, ये उनके साथ अत्याचार हो रहा है। मेरा सवाल ये है कि क्या रिलीजन को इतने सालों तक एक टूल की तरह, जरिए की तरह इस्तेमाल किया जाता रहा महिलाओं को दबाने के लिए? एंड दैट इज समथिंग दैट द मूवी आल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट।
Well, Swati, I'll just put you back to the 6th century when the Prophet Muhammad was born. That was a time when the darkness was very prevalent. This time when the Prophet Muhammad has come, the main ardent supporters and the followers who follow the Islam, Prophet Muhammad is the main exemplary whom we need to follow. And his practice was that the first thing what he has started for the emancipation of the woman, that he stopped the female infanticide. Then the second thing, what he did, he empowered the women through which the concubines was about to marry when they were exploited. That was a statement and that was a total ideology of Islam where women.
But you're getting me wrong. I'm not questioning the ideology of Islam. Neither am I questioning the preachings of Prophet Muhammad. I am not questioning any of that. I am not even questioning the principles, principles of Islam. One second. When I say that religion was used as a tool to suppress women, I'm not questioning the ideology of the religion itself. I'd like to make that clear.
Well, no, then you have to understand the ideology of the religion. When religion is not suppressing the women's rights and women's opportunities, then religion word should not be used.
The people who are following it,
is required.
Irrespective, sir, irrespective of which religion you talk about. I am generalizing the situation here. One second. No, I am not questioning the religion. I am saying people who follow. You're talking about an ideal society. Are we living in an ideal society? Are we living in an ideal society?
Of course not. We are not living in an ideal
So
society,
then
but
I'm
a society
questioning,
where
and
women
that is
should be
exactly why I'm questioning
respected,
those who follow the religion, but not,
empowered. That's what
no,
the
no,
religion say.
no.
That the religion
Are people
says.
following what the religion is saying?
That's what the religion say, right?
Are people honestly following that?
What we need to say, if people are not following, we should not blame the religion. That religion
Who
is
is
wrong.
blaming? See,
There could be a wrong
who
people
is blaming
are,
religion? But who is blaming
destroying and
religion?
deteriorating the religion.
But who is blaming
and
religion?
values.
But who is blaming religion? Amber Zaidi, who is blaming religion? मैंने कभी नहीं कहा. मैंने कभी नहीं कहा कि इस्लाम धर्म का अर्थ है. No, one second. मैंने आइडियोलॉजी को क्वेश्चन नहीं किया, मैंने प्रीचिंग्स को क्वेश्चन नहीं किया, मैंने प्रिंसिपल्स को क्वेश्चन नहीं किया. आसिफ अंसारी, आई एम सेइंग जो लोग उस धर्म को फॉलो करते हैं वो लोग क्या उसी धर्म को एज टूल इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं महिलाओं को सप्रेस करने के लिए? नो, यू आर गेटिंग मी कंप्लीटली रॉन्ग. अंबर जैदी.
Absolutely, Swati. We are not debating about Islam and what is the Islamic ideology.
Yes.
We are trying to understand that we live in the largest democracy of the world and the fourth largest economy, and we are still debating and discussing the right to equality of the women and the reversal of the Supreme Court judgment in 1986. It was a political compromise, and lakhs and lakhs of the Muslims came out on road, and they were against the Supreme Court judgment who served justice for Shah Bano. And you are talking about the ideal society we are sitting here? No, the film HAQ is more than a cinematic story. It is a reflection of one of the most defining legal battles, the Shah Bano case. And this case was not just about the one woman's maintenance right. It was about the soul of our constitution, whether justice stands above personal law and whether women's dignity can ever be negotiable. We need to understand these basic things. Shah Bano's courage brought daylight to fundamental questions, and we are still talking the same here. We need to understand these. We are not here like nobody is questioning Islam. I am a Muslim woman. Dear Shaukat Ali ji, she's sitting here. We have debated a lot and made awareness in society and worked with so many victims. You never came out in support of the victim and women. You named, blamed and shamed
and look at them as women who are fighting for their rights. If you want to bring in religion, don't forget that they belong to the same religion. Let me bring in Advaita Kala once again. The movie certainly is going to open a Pandora's box. Will it be but implementing and helping implement, the right set of principles in our society? Is it going to help in increasing awareness and education, or will it only give more space to politics and war of words?
I think it's going to do both. I think the good thing about our politicians is that they're very on the surface. They don't actually believe these things, right? Because they all have daughters, they all have sisters, and nobody would want anyone who is dear to them to go through such an experience. But then there's also vote bank politics, so they have to appeal to that vote bank, and that's exactly what Rajiv Gandhi did as well. It wasn't like some, big moral decision. He appealed to a vote bank, and he took a decision which set Muslim women back, in particular, for decades. So, our politicians are very short-sighted. They're thinking about the next election. They're not really thinking about the future of the nation. So I think that's where films, being a popular medium, steps up, because it can capture the public's imagination in a far more genuine way and appeal to their conscience and their hearts and their minds. Because I think politicians don't hold that over the public any longer. And if any of them do, then you can count them on, one hand. And one of them, I would argue, would be Prime Minister Modi, someone like that who brought in this law of, repealing this whole triple talaq ban or rather the overturning of the Shah Bano case and banning triple talaq. So I think, this is very important. It's significant for the women's rights movement in this country, be it, I put it at the same level with dowry, for example, which used to pervade and still to a large extent pervades Hindu society in particular. It happens in all communities, but Hindu society is clearly associated with it. I would put it at the same level and say that these are scourges of society which need to be done away with, irrespective of which religion they draw inspiration from or claim to belong to, because a lot of evil is done in the name of religion.
Absolutely.
And it's the fact.
Absolutely. And Dr. Rizvi, आपको नहीं लगता कि जब इस तरह की पिक्चरें बनती, इस तरह की मूवीज बनती हैं और जो लोग उसको देखते हैं अपने आप को आइडेंटिफाई कर पाते हैं? कई شاید بدلاؤ چاہتے ہیں اس طرح کی موویز دیکھ کر, اور کئی سوچیں گے آج کی بدلاؤ ہوا بہت اچھا ہوا, اب جو آگے کی جنریشن ہوگی اس کے لیے کافی فائدے مند رہے گا.
دیکھیے اویئرنیس تو ضروری ہے, اور اویئرنیس کے لیے اگر فلمیں بنتی ہیں, لیکن فلمیں چونکہ ان دنوں ہم دیکھ رہے ہیں کہ کچھ بہت ہی پولیٹیسائز ہو رہی ہیں, اور ان کو لگ رہا ہے کہ اس طرح کے کنٹروورشیل ایشوز کو اٹھایا جائے تو شاید زیادہ لوگ پسند کریں گے. تو اس لیے بھی اگر ان کا مین ایجنڈا یہ ہے کہ اویئرنیس, تو اویئرنیس کے لیے تو فلمیں بنائی جاتی رہی ہیں اور بنائی جانی چاہیے. جہاں تک یہ ٹرپل طلاق کا, تو میں یہاں پہ آپ کو کریکٹ کر دوں کہ دیکھیے 3 طلاق کوئی ایشو نہیں ہے, ہاں, بلکہ ایک سٹنگ میں ایک ساتھ جو طلاق یہ ایشو تھا, اور وہ قرآن سے ثابت نہیں کر سکتے, قرآن میں ہی نہیں, تو اس لیے
انسٹنٹ ٹرپل طلاق آ گیا
کی گئی.
اگین آئی تھنک ہوتا یہ ہے کہ ایک نیریٹو سامنے آ جاتا ہے. آپ اگر یہ کہہ رہے ہیں کہ انسٹنٹ ٹرپل طلاق نہیں ہو سکتا, اس کو جوڑ دیا جاتا ہے کہ کیا نارمز ہے, کیا پرتھا ہے اسلام میں, ٹرپل طلاق پر ہی سوال کیوں اس پر سوال نہیں اٹھا رہا. لیکن ایسے انسٹنسز ڈاکٹر رضوی آپ نے بھی سنے ہوں گے کہ شوہر کہیں دوسرے دیش میں بیٹھا ہے اور موبائل فون پر ویڈیو کال پر یا آڈیو کال پر 3 بار طلاق کہہ دے رہا ہے, اور اس کو اس کے گھر والے اور سوسائٹی کے لوگ طلاق کی طرح مان بھی رہے ہیں, مہیلا کو ابینڈن کر دیا گیا, اس کو چھوڑ دیا گیا. ایسے معاملے میں تو ہوئے ہیں نا انسٹنٹ ٹرپل طلاق, اس پر آپ کی کیا رائے؟
نہیں, بالکل ہوا ہے, اور اس سے پریشانی بالکل رہی ہے, اس میں کوئی دو رائے نہیں ہے. لیکن اتنا آسان نہیں ہے جتنا ہمارے ہندوستان کا قانون جو ہے بہت مضبوط ہے. آج تمام عورتیں جہاں بھی جن کے ساتھ یہ ہو رہا ہے وہ عدالت جا رہی ہیں, اور عدالت سے ان کو انصاف مل رہا ہے. باقاعدہ اگر وہ طلاق ہو گئی ہے تو ان کو بھتہ دیا جاتا ہے, بچے اگر ہیں تو بچوں کو پیسے دیا جاتا ہے, وہ تمام رائٹس ان کو مل رہے ہیں. آپ جا کر کے پتہ لگا لیجئے. تو اس لیے یہ کہنا کہ مسلم
مل رہے ہیں, وہ سیکشنز وہ لاز کون سے ہیں میں وہ بھی آپ کو بتا سکتی ہوں جس کے تحت یہ مل رہا ہے. لیکن ہم یہ جو ہوا تھا 1986 میں, اس وقت جس طرح کی راجنیتی ہوئی تھی, اس پر بھی ڈسکشن کریں, اس کو آپ مت بھولیے. آج کی استھتی آپ بات کر رہے ہیں, بہت اچھی بات ہے.
شاہ بانو دیکھیے, شاہ بانو سے نکلیے. دیکھیے ایک منٹ سواتی جی, شاہ بانو کا کیس جو ہے اب اس سے نکل آئیے.
کیوں؟
تب میں اور اب میں بہت فرق ہے. اب لوگ اویئر ہو گئے. تب تو ہو سکتا ہے کہ مسلم لڑکیاں کچھ % ہی اسکول کالج جاتی رہی ہوں. آج آپ جا کر کے دیکھ لیجئے, مسلم لڑکیاں ٹاپ کر رہی ہیں, ڈاکٹر بن رہی ہیں, پائلٹ بن رہی ہیں, انجینئر بن رہی ہیں.
لیکن یہ بھی مت بھولیے, نہیں یہ بھی مت بھولیے, قانون ایک ادھیکار دیتا ہے. اس کے بعد سماج کا بھی یہ ذمہ داری ہے کہ وہ اس قانون کا ٹھیک سے پالن کرے. سماج کا سپورٹ شاہ بانو کو نہیں ملا تھا, اس کو الگ تھلگ کر دیا گیا تھا. اور کیوں کوئی شاہ بانو سے باہر نکلے, کیوں نکلے باہر, کیوں اس وقت جو غلط ہوا تھا اس کی بات نہیں ہونی چاہیے. سید اسد عباس, like I said earlier as well, the courts did not do injustice to Shah Bano. جس لا کی اب بات کر رہے ہیں ڈاکٹر رضوی, اس وقت بھی سیکشن 125 کا حوالہ دے کر کے کہا گیا کہ yes she is entitled to getting maintenance. اس کو اوور ٹرن تو گورنمنٹ نے کیا, راجیو گاندھی کی گورنمنٹ نے, کانگریس کی سرکار نے.
Truth remains, Swati ji, I will agree to your point there. You know, history can't be rewritten this way. It is a matter of fact. But I'd like to make a larger point here. I've always believed in this beautiful quote. When you do the most common things in life in the most uncommon way, you command the attention of the world. Adwaita ji, who have shared panels many times, I think she articulated a beautiful point. I believe that Modi ji, the Bharatiya Janata Party, which advocates and empowers women, which speaks of Nari Shakti, must and should bring in an anti-dowry bill, because the number of deaths which are taking place of our sisters, of our mothers because of dowry is inhumane. And let me tell you, this is not just one particular community, but across all communities.
You know that asking for dowry is a crime, right? Has that happened without the law? Do you know asking for dowry is a crime?
Yes, absolutely. So therefore, when we deal with it with iron hands, iron cuffs, that is the deal with it. Like we have the UAPA laws, that is the kind of laws we need to bring in the anti-dowry bill. I urge the lawmakers to please bring in a policy of the same matter. Also, as a matter of fact, it's unfortunate that our Muslim community is shown in a certain way. Zinat Ali ji made a beautiful point. And in Islam, if you take the Prophet's daughter, which is Bibi Fatima, the Prophet's son-in-law, which is Imam Ali, they used to share the house chores together. This is equality in Islam, which always speak of men, women come from the ribs, they say. And this shows that in Islam, men, women are equal and nobody is above them.
Like I said,
Islam
again, now
speaks of
you are
equality.
talking of an ideal society. Are people actually following that? Also, Syed Asabas, I don't know how and why you're saying that we need stringent laws against dowry. There already exists one which has criminalized the entire process of dowry. Asking for dowry is a crime. Harassment and cruelty because of dowry is also a crime. We've already dealt with that. In fact, बीच में ये criticism था कि उसको गलत तरीके से इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है against men and their entire families. उसमें modifications भी किए गए. Additional responsibilities दी गई police officers को, magistrates को, that you have to keep a check on whether these allegations that are being leveled by the woman's family are right or not. बीच में ये होता था कि पूरे family को उठा के जेल में डाल दिए गए.
Swati ji, I will answer that. It's unfortunate that many of the laws are being taken for granted in their own ways.
No, I'm apprising you of the fact that there exists a law. There exists
a law. There are no two ways about it. But there needs to be much larger measures in that. It boils down to the investigating officer. If the investigating officer, along with the court-monitored inquiry, is coming through any evidence found to be against the people seeking dowry with any material evidence,
now see, the difference,
should be brought.
The difference in how, see, very interesting that you brought that up. Now look at the difference at how people view this. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, nobody will say, ये anti-Hindu है. ये dowry तो सिर्फ Hindu मांगते हैं. इसको और stringent कीजिए, but nobody would say कि ये anti-Hindu है. People would say, कीजिए इसको और stringent so that women don't suffer.
You see, you're quite right. It overlaps. There are many contradictions. There are many Muslim families also who do take dowry, used to take dowry. It's a cultural point cutting across all religious groups. But, I'd like to bring one point out that because we keep dragging, which is very unfortunate, and you're pointing this out, that you keep dragging religion into this debate where all the laws are concerned also. Now, for example, in the introduction of criminal laws, when we were talking about the Uniform Civil Code, much earlier in the Constitution, there was no religious leader, Muslim leader, who said that religion, all citizens should not be equally ruled by one law. We have one criminal law for the entire country. We don't cut off fingers or hands and there was the interest it serves would be the same, and the applicability of that law, is common for all citizens. Now, there was no objection raised against that. So why was this, that all laws have to be uniform in regard to criminal acts, in short. Now, why are we debating this with regard to women? Why are we debating that we should not have these equal laws of inheritance? We should not have equal rights to divorce. We should not have these equal rights, to existence, to respect, to equality. That is a natural phenomenon with which we are born. The Prophet has said that we are two sides of the same coin. We are the twin halves. The men and women are the twin halves of each other. Now, in what way? Whenever the question of women arises, somehow or the other, I do find that though Islam has never permitted it, the Prophet was the greatest emancipator of women in many ways, and my new book is being written on that subject. I've already got one. But, which is called the Empowerment of Women in Islam, but I'm doing a new one. But my simple point is this: why should there be objections raised against it? Will you give me 30 seconds to make one more point?
Okay.
When we talk about a uniform civil code, or, when there is so much opposition coming, what is it? It is a cardinal, what is the uniform civil code? It is a cardinal commitment of the principle of equal rights in the legal sphere and all spheres alike for all communities alike. justice is the cornerstone, which Islam also says justice is the cornerstone of the court. And every human being is treated with equality and dignity, safeguarding the foundational principle of equality and justice, which is the constitutional right of every single citizen of the country. So, what way is this opposed to religion of Islam? It is not. Shah Banu's case and judgment was opposed.
Yes.
It was a judgment that cannot be overlooked. And according to me, that 72-year-old woman who was asking for 172 rupees and 25 paise or something like that,
yes,
was not given that. Instead, the triple talaq was operated on her, and we Muslims at that time should have stood up. There were few voices.
Absolutely.
You know, I was very young at that time, but even my voice arose against it. So we cannot overlook this.
Absolutely, you cannot overlook it. इसीलिए डॉक्टर रिजवी शाह बानो के केस को नहीं छोड़ सकते हैं, उस पर बार-बार बात होगी. I want to bring in Asif Ansari, however. Asif Ansari, you know, because we're looking at the glimpses through the trailer of what the movie is going to look like. The lead actor, Yami Gautam, in one of those scenes, excerpts says that, you know, I'm not just a Muslim woman, I'm an Indian Muslim woman who was born and raised in India. So why is it that, you know, the law cannot be the same for me as it is for others? That's why you talk about equality. But unfortunately, religion को inject कर दिया जाएगा. And every religion, you know, every religion says कि औरत और आदमी, शिव और शक्ति, और जैसा कि आपने कहा, Prophet Muhammad ने कहा कि भैया they are the two sides of the same coin. But it is not followed. That's the problem.
Well, Swati, that is a basic problem, that it is so ironical that when we call ourselves about the ardent followers of any kind of religion, but we don't follow it exactly. That is the point. So one point, if you want to show the religion, that the religion talks about the emancipation and empowerment of a woman. Secondly, the followers who follow any kind of religion, regardless of it's been a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, who, whatever it is, but they don't follow their religion. So that is a societal problem. What Shah Bano has faced, that was a societal problem. Whereas any kind of Muslim personal law does not permit this kind of pressures or the atrocity on the woman. That you need to understand.
But tell me, overturning the Supreme Court judgment was a societal problem.
Of time, we cannot discuss the whole personal law.
No, Asif Ansari.
That is a societal
overturning the Supreme Court judgment was a societal problem.
Swati,
was it a societal problem?
No, though how it has been projected, there is always a chance of improvisation in any kind of law. It is nothing like it is a divine thing and you cannot change it. There it has been made for a safety and the security of the woman. If reformation is required, then the Muslim society should.
But it was called that move was called regressive. It was not reformative. It was unfortunately not reformative. You may want it to be reform. It was regressive. It was regressive.
No, you can't be using that. That was for a regressive. It's a reformative. If it is not adjustable to a present society, then we need to adopt a new thing where women can be given more liberty, more equality, where women should feel equal.
One second.
Equality in this society.
Am I wrong to say what happened in 1986, overturning the Supreme Court judgment? Dr. Advaita Kala was regressive. Am I wrong in using the word regressive?
Well, Swati, it's been an old judgment which has come. We too anguish and repent about the thing that the old woman has to go through a certain law which we have, that stringent law we have. Now, as the movie has come.
No, I'll tell you what the societal problem is. No, Asif Ansari, I'll tell you what the societal problem is. When on the face of it, you sympathize with a woman who's suffering, but as a society, you do not want changes to happen and stand with her so that she can get her right. That's the societal problem. Dr. Kala, please finish your point.
Thank you for calling me Dr. Swati. Not, but I feel very elevated. Thank you. But, I think the issue with our country, and this has been the issue since its inception, even in the Constituent Assembly debates, wherein the secularism developed into a very negative thing. It became a negative form of secularism, where it was felt that hands off, even if something is wrong, means that we are being secular and adopting principles of secularism, which was very, very wrong. And you're right, it was regressive wherever it applied. I don't want to single out a specific religion, but wherever it applied, it has been very wrong, and it has impacted, communities. And I will focus on women. It's negatively impacted women and the progress that we have made in this country, even 75 years after independence. So I think it's essential that this is tackled. It is being tackled. I think 86 was a travesty when it came to women's rights in this country. It was something that is frankly unforgivable, because in the decades that followed, a lot of lives were destroyed. And it was a mockery, because this bill, whatever it was called Muslim Women's Protection Act or something of that nature.
Yes.
Which I think is so hypocritical, because that was the last thing that it intended to do, and that was the last thing that it actually did for Muslim women.
Amber Zaidi, I want to understand, is this enough though? Like Dr. Rizvi said, कि महिलाएं जो हैं किसी भी caste religion की, and especially because he was talking about Muslim women, yes, they are breaking barriers, और अब वो पीछे मुड़ के नहीं देखना चाहती हैं. In every sector, in every field, you see women wanting equal participation, and not just because they are women, but because they are deserving of it, they are hardworking. But जो current situation है society, do you think it's enough, or do we need to look at ways on how the society can actually be more progressive and support these women? Because if you do not get societal support, the existence becomes difficult.
Absolutely, Swati. We all are doing well. Like all women sitting here doing well in our, all walks of life, different walks of life. But we, what is more unfortunate that we still don't have equal rights as you, Advita, and as you have. I don't have the same rights as you have. Being a Muslim woman of India, I still do not have the equal rights as the other women of the country. That is the unfortunate condition of this. The largest democracy of the world, and that is why we have been debated and worked a lot on ground among the Muslim women. And this particular case that Dr. Rizvi and also said as other bars that we should move on and we should overlook Shah Bano. Okay, no, we cannot, because the Shah Bano verdict reasserted a critical legal principle that the Constitution of India and the Supreme Court is, it's all. It's beyond personal religious belief. It cannot be, that the conflict with the right to life and dignity and equality is the constitution that must prevail.
Right.
So, and also this film captures the moral and legal tensions, brilliantly showing that the justice cannot be compromised and overlooked and cannot be selective.
Okay, we keep hearing this. Let's move on from this. We need to move on. But what do we move on to? Should we now move on to a law that is uniform for everyone in nature? Is that the solution? Will that ensure equality? I want to ask that common question to all the panelists. I want to begin with you, Asif Ansari. Is UCC the solution?
Well, Swati, I must say if UCC should be put on, I will take you some back to when the Nehruvian government was there. There was a Hindu code bill was passed. Then it was proposed, not passed, when the Sama Mukherjee was very much against that law, and he talked, even the Rajendra Prasad was very against that law. But when it was ardent and was being passed, then why Shama Prasad said, when it is been so good for the Hindu religion, why it should not be implemented at the UCC? The idea of the UCC has come from that period of time. Now the matter when it comes to the government, the incumbent governments of India, I think if the UCC is been implemented and reformative law should be implemented through all the personal law, then I must welcome, why not the government put down the UCC? Let bring the law, what law he wants to bring. Let put into the advisory committee to the law committee, make a JPC, let discuss on this. It's only been talked about that UCC will become, UCC is coming. Let put it down, let draft it, let bring it to the peoples. If we find that it is going to give an equal opportunity.
Some states have successfully done so, but you're saying that if you want to do it pan-India, then let's get the conversation going. Okay, Advaita Kala, your thoughts?
Absolutely, 100%. There should be a UCC. There's no doubt in my mind at all. Please remember that during the Constituent Assembly debates, partition was raging in the country and communal fires were burning very bright. So to a certain extent, our constitutional frameworkers did feel that, this was something that they didn't want to touch. And I think that reticence is the reason why we're paying this price today. So I'm convinced that, the kind of negative secularism that we've practiced has been very damaging. We've reached this hands-off policy wherein now we're at a point where we don't even have an appreciation for each other's religions and ethical frameworks, because we've parked them into religious institutions, into different silos, and we don't have the kind of exchange that a fully functioning, liberal, open democracy, multi-religion democracy should have. And this is the hands-off approach that we need to change for future generations so that we actually understand each other's faith, our ethical frameworks, and move forward as Indians.
Dr. Rizvi, आपकी क्या राय है इस पर?
नहीं, मैं यही कह रहा हूं कि देखिए, अगर सरकार को लगता है तो वो जरूर एक मसौदा लेकर के आए और उस पर डिबेट कराए, बहस कराए, लोगों से मशवरा करे। और मैं समझता हूं कि चूंकि दीन इस्लाम ऐसा है कि वो किसी के साथ ज्यादती नहीं चाहता, तो जाहिर सी बात है कि वो तमाम बातें आएंगी और वो बताई जाएंगी। तो सरकार को चाहिए कि बजाय स्टेट वाइज करने के वो एक सेंट्रल मसौदा लेकर के आए और उस पर बहस कराए, जो भी होगा वो सब सामने आ जाएगा।
लेकिन डॉक्टर रिजवी, फिर से हम धर्म की क्यों बात करें? अगर यूनिफॉर्म, उसका नाम ही यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड है, तो हर किसी को उठना पड़ेगा धर्म से ऊपर, हर कोई उसके नीचे आएगा एक समान।
नहीं, धर्म के ऊपर देखिए, धर्म के ऊपर उठ के क्या मतलब, धर्म के ऊपर क्या होता है? धर्म के ऊपर उठ के आना क्या आप कह रहे हैं कि कोई नमाज छोड़ देगा, रोजा छोड़ देगा?
फिर आप वही बात कर रहे हैं, आप मेरी बातों को गलत।
धर्म के ऊपर
मैंने कब बोला धर्म छोड़ दीजिए? मैंने कब बोला धर्म छोड़ दीजिए? मैं कह रही हूँ धर्म जैसे
क्या हो रहा है, आप बताइए ना। धर्म के
मुद्दे से ऊपर उठना होगा। अगर आप यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की बात कर रहे हैं,
ऊपर उठ करके आएंगे क्या?
धर्म के ऊपर उठने का मतलब है इस मुद्दे से ऊपर उठना। इसको लेकर के कोई नैरेटिव, इसको लेकर कोई नैरेटिव ना पेडल हो।
1986 का हवाला दे रही शाह बानो का, एक दूसरी मिसाल दीजिए ना उस तरह की, मुल्क में कहीं हुई हो तो दीजिए एक दूसरी मिसाल उस तरह की।
ट्रिपल तलाक के जो इतने मामले सामने आए, वो उसकी मिसाल थी कि नहीं?
इसलिए मुझे लग रहा है कि नहीं, बहुत सारे मामले तो सिर्फ मुस्लिम के आए, दूसरे मज़ाहिब में नहीं आए,
तो
ट्रिपल तलाक नहीं आ रहे हैं।
एक मिनट, ट्रिपल तलाक
करके पता कीजिए, मालूम हो जाएगा।
ट्रिपल तलाक किस में होता है, किस धर्म का हिस्सा है ट्रिपल तलाक?
कि ट्रिपल हमने बताया ना, तो आप क्या समझ रहे? वो ट्रिपल तलाक बंद हो गया। जो मजहब को मानने वाले हैं, जो उस चीज को फॉलो करने वाले, वो फॉलो करेंगे, वो अदालत नहीं जाएंगे। आपको कैसे?
लेकिन वो तो गलत है ना, आपने खुद ही तो कहा कि इंस्टेंट ट्रिपल तलाक,
रिलीजियस लेडी है,
आपने तो खुद ही कहा ना कि इंस्टेंट ट्रिपल तलाक मजहब का हिस्सा नहीं है।
मैंने हिमायत नहीं की, लेकिन बिल्कुल हिस्सा नहीं है, कुरान में ये नहीं है, और इसीलिए वो स्टैंड नहीं कर पाए। और खुद मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड को ये समझना चाहिए था। दो मसलक कहते हैं, एक शिया मसलक, एक अहले हदीस, दोनों में ऐसा है कि दोनों ये एक नशिस्त में, वन सिटिंग में ट्रिपल तलाक को नहीं मानते।
हाँ।
उनको खुद ही कंसल्ट करना चाहिए था, उनसे मशवरा करना चाहिए था।
नहीं हुआ ना, लेकिन दिक्कत ये कि सालों तक, बिल्कुल आप सही कह रहे हैं कि सालों तक ये चलता रहा। इसके बाद महिलाओं को कोर्ट का रुख करना पड़ा। अगर ये मसले मसाइल जो हैं समाज के भीतर ही हल हो जाते, तो फिर शायद महिलाओं को नहीं जाना पड़ता कोर्ट। असद अब्बास, इज यूसीसी द सॉल्यूशन?
History repeats itself when we do not learn from history. I never said, maybe Rizvi ji or Ansari ji might have spoken about moving on. I never said anything about moving on. We need to learn from the Shah Bano case. And Swati ji, I know you have vociferously spoken about this, that we also need to learn from Bilkis Bano case. A woman being raped, but BJP releases those convicted rapists for the Gujarat government. The same BJP which speaks of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, is this what you do? The fact we need to also understand, Swati ji, that in matters of UCC, let me tell you, when we speak of uniform civil code, let us understand we all follow the same criminal law, we all follow the same judiciary law, we follow. Now we need to bring in the property and ascension.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is, our country is like the five fingers. All five fingers are not the same. They are different. We need to take the Hindu Endowment Board, the Muslim Board, many of the tribals, we need to take them under this law as well. Many of our friends of the Northeast as well. And then uniformly come into a conclusion for the whole nationally, not just state-wise. Come in one voice together and then take it forward. One last point, Swati ji, very important point. Many a times, we Muslims are said, blame, char shadi kar sakte hain, char shadi. Let me tell you, 37 years of practicing Muslim, I have not come across one Muslim in India who's been married 4 times. In fact, if you see our, in the brothers of Hindu religion, there are many marriages which happen there when the first wife is starting to have a kid.
They are wrong. As per law, it's not allowed. It's not allowed as per law. There's nothing wrong in calling a spade a spade. अगर कोई चीज गलत है तो फिर वो गलत ही है कानून की नजर में. फिर उसमें आप ये नहीं कर सकते कि हिंदुओं में हो रहा है, मुसलमान में नहीं हो रहा है, सिख में हो रहा है, जैन में, ईसाई में नहीं हो रहा है. What is wrong, and I will call a spade a spade. Said as the bus. Let me bring in Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali. The unfortunate reality is when you criticize the system, when you criticize individuals, it's taken as if you're criticizing the religion. Some of our panelists also got it wrong.
I agree with you. You see, it is a mindset. You see, it is a mindset that that your religion is being violated. It is not. The clarity must come there that your religion is not being violated. It is being protected because your religion is not saying anything different. Now, as far as I did not, since we have not discussed polygamy, and since one of the distinguished panelists have brought this matter up, I would like to give you a small statistic from the study published by International Institute of Population (IPS), based on the data by the National Health Family Survey (NHFC). This is what polygamy is all about. The figures of polygamy have fallen nationally to 1.4%. I'm giving you the figures from 2019 to 2021. Religion-wise, it is Hindus who practice 1.8% polygamy and Muslims 1.9% polygamy. So to say that no one practices it is incorrect. Then I want you to say that the highest is among tribals. In Meghalaya 6.1%, Mizoram 4.1%, Sikkim 3.9%.
All right.
Religion-wise, Muslims outnumber polygamy in certain states like Assam 3.6%, where Hindus is 1.7%. This is also the case in Odisha, Bengal, Delhi, and Kerala.
Right.
And a study, and also just one more point, that Hindus outnumber in Telangana. In Telangana, you have Hindus practicing 3.1% of Hindus practice, Muslims 2.1%. In Chhattisgarh, Hindus 2%, Muslims 1.1%. In Tamil Nadu, Hindus 2%, Muslims 1.7%. In Andhra Pradesh, Hindus 1.9%, Muslims 1.8%. So what I'm simply saying is that when we have a law, polygamy was never permitted. I mean, it is not an open law for Islam. It came revealed as a particular type of law. It was restrictive. And in the same surah, it says that a man cannot deal equally between two women. It is in the same surah.
We come back to the same point, Dr. Ali, that while religion guarantees equality, are people following those religions actually implementing that or not? And that's where the problem arises. Last comments to Amber Zaidi. Amber Zaidi, even Shah Bano wasn't, dragging religion to the court. She was highlighting injustice and discrimination that was done.
Absolutely, that was the fight was all about. That fight was not just against her husband or her community, it was against injustice itself. And also in the film HAQ, it reminds us that justice delayed is justice denied, and also it is the dignity denied. If India aspires to be a truly modern and just not nation, and I think then the constitution, not convenience, not politics, must always have the final word.
Right.
And the message is simple and yet profound. Equality cannot be, depend on who you pray to, or, it must depend on who you are before the law of the nation.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope that movies like HAQ do bring about those societal changes that all the panelists spoke about, positively influence behaviors, and help change perceptions. Thank you very much for joining us.